Hello, 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 everyone. This is Lisa with Inspired Heart Intuitive. And here at this channel, we help you live a spirit-led, whole and healed, peace and prosperous life. It is Toxic Relationship Tuesday. And I last week started talking about the power of the empath. And I really felt very strongly that I wanted to, for the next few weeks, take this time and talk about how we are empowered, right? About us being empowered and how we can become further empowered. Because so often we talk about what the narcissist does or these toxic relationships, and we don't talk enough about our own power and how to get out of it. So I don't want to talk about them anymore. I want to talk about us. How do we get out and recover, right? And how do we take our power back? So what is this concept? We've talked a little bit about being self-partnered. So I want what the life of the self-partnered one looks like. What does that truly mean? And the definition of being self-partnered is just this. We are not looking to the outside world or the outside individual to be partnered. We don't need that. We are truly partnered in and all of ourselves, our higher being, partnered with Supreme Spirit, with God, with the Creator. And we are filled, whole and healed, peaceful and prosperous life completely within ourselves. It's not that we don't want a partner at some point, right? It's not that we don't want to be married. It's not that we don't want to have a ship, even if you don't want to be married, a life partnership. But we get to a point when we're self-partnered that we don't. Unfortunately, women and some men, but I will speak to women primarily right now, maybe just people. We go from relationship to relationship to relationship. We go from bed to bed to bed. We don't give ourselves time, if we're living a single life, we don't give ourselves time to recover and heal and learn the lessons from their relationship before we enter into the next relationship. This can even be friendships. Friendships break down, communication breaks, and then the next thing we know, we're picking up the next friend and to be on our own. We can't stand to be loners. We go from family member to family, right? We never give ourselves the opportunity to learn and to grow, and we go from one to the next to the next. The self-partnered life looks like this. Yes, I may have been in a relationship with you, but it has ended. This wasn't. Let me take some time and learn. What is it that I learned from this? Because it takes two to make it work. It takes two to break it apart. What did I bring to the table that contributed to the breakdown of this relationship? What did I bring to the table energetically, me, in my brokenness, that brought you to me in a way that you can continue to break me? Hello, Liam. What was it that did that? And so the self-partnered lives, I am at my core, my very being is divine, infinite, possesses knowledge and wisdom and power given to me by the Creator from the divine. And I have everything within me to be complete and whole and healed, peaceful and prosperous. I have been given that in my very DNA, if you will, my spiritual DNA. So why is it I keep looking inside of me to be whole and healed? And a lot of times we're incubated in this. In our mother's womb, we're incubated in fear. We're incubated in I'm not enough. We're incubated in I have no power. We're incubated in poverty. We're incubated in emotional distress. This is the toxic soup that we have been incubated in, and we're birthed into the world. So how do we go from I've been birthed into this, self-partnered and ascension? And that's what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is, what does the self-partnered life look like? I want to give you the vision of it first at this moment. I'm going to give you the vision of it first. And then in the following weeks, we'll start unraveling how to get to that point. So the self-partnered life. Can you sit by yourself with yourself and be completely okay? Or do you have to be on the telephone? Or do you have to be typing on Facebook or Instagram? Or do you have to have the TV on? Something has to be going point. Can you sit in silence and be perfectly okay with that? Can you be by yourself home, or literally by yourself while in a coffee shop or a movie theater, or just taking a walk, and be perfectly happy, not needing anyone else? Can you envision a life where you do not need to have a boyfriend? Can you envision that life? Can you envision a life where you love yourself so completely, with all of your faults and all of your accomplishments, so completely, and be in total complete trust by yourself, that you do not feel the need to have someone with you, a physical human being? The self-partnered life is a life that says, you know what? I'm not completely tied to the outcome. This is the outcome I want. This is the energy I'm putting out there, but I'm not completely tied to the how. I don't always need to know the how. I can just be present, taking small steps towards the what, but the how is not important. Can you sit with yourself and love yourself? Because when we can be the point where we're whole and healed, and I'm not saying 100%, because none of us are 100% until we're spiritual beings once again. But can you be whole enough where you're really okay being physically by yourself? When you get to the point that you love yourself to that level, where you don't need a physical partner, but you want one, then you become self-partnered. When you get to the point where you yourself, your instincts, your intuition, you trust your communication with Creator to the point where you are at peace, even in the midst of chaos, you've become self-partnered. When you get to the point where you're like, you know what? I might got 20 pounds to lose, but guess what? I love myself. And when I'm ready to lose those 20 pounds, I will. You love yourself. You're hurt. It's when you're no longer giving off the energy of the injured that you realize you're self-partnered. And when we're no longer giving off the energy of the injured, then the injurer is no longer attracted. I want you to think about that for a minute. Because when I say, what did I bring to the table that attracted this person into my life? I am saying to you, energetically, you are sending off vibrations that is bringing in and attracting in people that will continually injure us, because we're looking to hole. And some of us, many holes. Some of us, it's the Grand Flippin' Canyon. And I can say that because I was that. I can say that because I was that. That was me. Let me give you it here. It doesn't matter if you're looking at if you were like me and a decently empowered manager, had departments, people reporting to me, making money, doing this, doing that. On the side, you would have looked at me and said, that girl's got it all together. She's walking around, she's got that smile on her face, she's this exuberant, she's all of this. And I thought I had it all together. But I kept attracting the people into my life, men and friends, and I kept allowing my family to injure me. I kept allowing people in church to injure me. I kept self-sabotaging. I would get a measure of success, and then all of a sudden, it'd be gone, both personally and professionally. I'd reach a point and then it'd be gone. I didn't understand why. I didn't understand how. How is this continually to me? And why is it continually happening to me? Right? I didn't realize that there was deep wounds in here, gaping, bleeding wounds, sutured and disinfected, right? And the bandages put on there, changing of the bandages, and it needed to be healed. I didn't realize that. But once I did realize that, when I say physician, heal thyself, what do I mean? I mean, I realized, oh my gosh, there's these deep wounds here. I've been patching up the surface wounds all the time, and there's this deep within me that I don't want anymore. I don't want anymore. And I gave up the how. I was so desperate for healing that all I knew my spirit to do, my heart to do, was cry out to God and say, I need you. I can't do this by myself. And I gave up the how. And I gave up trying to fix it. And I gave up trying to slap Band-Aids on a gosh darn gaping wound. I stopped chasing after corporate America, right? Chasing after it. That I needed to be a vice president, or I needed to be this, or I needed to be that. I stopped chasing after the perfect life, the perfect husband, the perfect, what the world says is the perfect. Stop chasing after marriage, because I was gashed with the wrong people every time, because I was so desperate for somebody to love me. I was so desperate for somebody to fix all the time, because I didn't want to look inside. I wasn't willing to look inside. I wasn't willing to view this. I wasn't willing to view the fact that this is what I was born into, and therefore this is what I'm attracting. I was born into abuse, therefore I attract abuse in some form or fashion. Because this is you, my skewed understanding, hi honey, was that this was love. This was how a marriage was supposed to be. Hello, darling. I thought you were oh no. This is what it was supposed to be. This was love. Mental, emotional, and physical abuse, because that's all I knew. I marinated in it. Was incubated in this toxic serum of abuse, dysfunction, and lack of self-esteem. This was who my young mother was at 16, 17 years old. And she had attracted the abuser, which was my father. The self-heard life, though, says that was then. I understand that. I look at that and say, I give up. I can't heal this because this is all I know. But that's all my mind knows, that's all my body knows, but my divinity knows better. And my divinity is whole in and of itself. And my divinity says this is not. My divinity says I can be whole and healed and self-partnered and whole and healed and peaceful and prosperous. And I don't always have to be chasing something, looking for validation everywhere I go. I can be validated within myself. This partnered life. I am everything within myself because of who I come from, because of who I was created to be, because of who I am created by. This is the self-partnered. This is the life that says, I do not need your validation. I don't need your titles. I don't need your achievements. Don't need the man. I don't need to be Beyonce and Hove. That's not what I need. I don't need that. I don't even need to be Will and Jay. I can be Lisa solo dolo and be completely happy with it. Right? That is a self-partnered life. That's what the self-partnered life looks like. That this self-partnered life that I have, that I'm trying to convey, is the life that says, I am so happy and pleased with them. All of me. Every inch. Every little bit of fluffy. I'm happy with who I am. I embrace myself in my totality. I embrace my empathic nature. I embrace the intuition. I embrace the clairvoyance. I embrace the clairaudience. I embrace the mediumship. I shamanship. I embrace my intelligence. I embrace my compassion. Embrace the spiritual warrior. And I embrace the spiritual mother and physical mother. I embrace the businesswoman. And I embraced that little girl that was darn scared and didn't understand why. I embraced the fact that I grew up not really respecting my mom because of how mom positioned us. And the reason why I embrace it, because now I understand why. And because I understand why, our relationship is healed. Because I took that on, even though I did create it because it was put upon me. But I'm like, oof, man, that sucks. That's not the true me. The true me loves my mother. The true me respects my mother. The true me can embrace her for all faults and all of her greatness and any shortcomings I might think she has, because you know what? That's her. All of you, no matter what. No matter what, doesn't matter. Because you have divinity. I recognize the divinity in you. I embrace the fact that I can help people and yet not feel the need to take your stuff on. That I am not responsible for you doing your work. I'm only responsible for mine. And that's not selfish. This is embracing the totality of who you are and all you will be. This is embracing that, guess what? My birthright is to live a whole and healed, peaceful, and prosperous life. That is my birthright. Poverty is not my birthright. Paycheck to paycheck on a shoestring is not my birthright. And I keep coming back to being desperate for a relationship, because when we remain desperate for a relationship, in that desperate state, we get desperate crap. Because we're not giving off our best energy. We're not living our best life. We're not. You know what we're living? We're living the fear. We're living a life of fear. Fear of being alone. That we cannot be loved. Fear of what's going to happen to us if we're alone at 50, 55, 60. Fear that we may not ever have children, depending upon what stage of life you're in. Fear that what's my family going to look at me like? How are they going to view me? Because I'm unmarried, or I'm divorced, or I'm this, or I'm that. No. The self-partnered life. The self-life is, you know what? I have to be me, and I have to love every part of me and not seek validation. I do not expect any of you ever. I beg of you, never seek validation from me. I want you to have self-validation. I want you to be pleased with the whole person that you are. That's self-partnering. Other key, the self-partnered life, I'm just giving you a snapshot of what the self-partnered life is. That self-partnered life that no longer other people's acceptance, right? Self-partnered life can walk into a new job and be like, hey, guess what? Maybe everyone's trying to impress you, but I'm not trying to impress you about nothing. You know what? Because I'm just going to be me, the best me that I know how to be. Yes, Fran. Tired of walking on eggshells. The self-partnered me, right, realized that I last all the other relationships because I was afraid of being alone. I was so tied to the concept of being married by a certain age. By 45, and I'm being remarried. True story. That when it wasn't by 45, those few years in between, I was on a frantic search. Let me tell you, I was looking. Dating. I figured out a lot about myself. I learned a lot about myself. I learned about what I did like to do, what I didn't like to do. I had a lot of friends, the type of person I liked, the type of person. All of that was great. That was valuable information. But at the base of it, I was hell bent on being married. Why? Because I felt that societally, this is what everyone said. I've been single for all these years, unmarried for 20 some odd years. When are you going to get remarried? It's time for you. It's time for this. It's time for that. I am a minister in the Christian church. And if you think it's bad to be a minister, an ordained minister, and be a single man, and they hurry up by trying to marry you off, don't be a single woman. There's a whole host of other things with that. Because the minute you're working with these first ladies and these pastors' wives' husbands, and on another spiritual level than they are, because you're teaching and you're ministering, and that's not, I mean, I'm not being haughty, that's the way it was. They step away because I'm having these deep spiritual conversations with their husbands, completely innocent. I didn't want them, but I'm getting daggers from her. And then there's that uncomfortable, like, are we really like connected in that kind of way? It's a mess. So I have all these inputs saying get married. I was desperate to get married. I got married to the wrong man. But I didn't love myself enough and give myself enough validation to say, you don't need to be married to the wrong man. You don't need to be married. You are whole within yourself. That's self-partnered life. And let me tell you something. The freedom you get from being self-partnered and the ability to master a higher life is exponentially easier and more powerful as we become whole and healed. Why? Because we're not dealing with all the energies. We're not dealing with self-doubt. We're not dealing with self-esteem issues. We're not being injured. We've dealt with that. And guess what? If something else pops up, you know what? I know how. Okay, I see this. Okay, God, I'm here. Let's deal with it. I'm not afraid to go in deep because I've been deep and I've realized it doesn't hurt me. Self-partnered life is a life of constant self-awareness. Yes. It's a constant self-awareness. That's the self-partnered life. It's a constant self-discovery. It's an adventure every day. Do you know how wonderful it is? Let me tell you something. You know how freeing it is to not be tied to having to be in a relationship? You know how freeing that is? Holy cats. Do you know how freeing it is? Okay, family member. I feel some type of way about how I'm living my life, but I'm living my best life. I suggest you start to live yours. I approve, but it's cool. You're entitled to your opinion. I'm entitled to live my best life. Need your validation to make me feel okay about what I'm doing. I don't need it. I don't want it. I'm self-partnered. And let me tell you something else. When you're self-partnered and you're whole of life and a healed life, when that little ugly little narcissist wants to come around and latch on to you because he sees you or she sees you and wants it because they have none of their own, they can't latch on. That's very true. I'm gonna start talking to the because I'm gonna put this up. It's gonna go up on my website as well. So my web. So we're gonna talk to it to the chat in just a moment. So when you live this life of being self-partnered and being whole, I've done this before with that aura drawing where your aura is squiggly, and there's people can latch on and hold on for dear life. But when you're self-partnered, your aura becomes rounded. There's nothing for them to latch on to. And because you're healed, whole and healed, or 85, 95, whatever percent healed, then when that narcissist comes along and wants to be the vampire and suck the life out of you, yeah. Why? Because you do not need them. That's the ugly truth. Why do we get into these toxic relationships? Remember, a lot of us were probably incubated in toxicity. We were birthed into dysfunction, and we carried this all through our adult life, seeking to be healed, and we're always seeking from someone else. The truth is, if we want to be honest with ourselves, we wanted that narcissist just as badly as they wanted us, on a weird level, because the healer needed to constantly heal, not realizing the healer needed to come here first before the healer. We didn't know any better. We got to own that. That's part of being self-partnered, okay? The level of self-account, you got to own that. Because when you own that, I'm not saying you wanted to be abused. I'm not saying you wanted whatever, right? I'm not saying you physically, consciously wanted that hell. What I'm saying is, you can own the fact that you came into this broken and you attracted this to you, and you can own that yourself from that, then you can heal from that. Then you can heal that wound, that deep gaping hole, and I'll be filled with love and light and be self-contained and self-partnered. Us wanted what happened to any of us. None of us wanted it. Ooh. Play your position. So in the chat, because I'm going to start taking some conversation from the chat. Let me finish this, and then we'll start the chat for those who are watching the replay later. None of us wanted to be injured. None of us wanted to be hurt. I am not saying that consciously. Subconsciously, we felt we deserved it, or we felt that was the only way we lived because this is what we were brought up in. And if you say, well, but Lisa, my life wasn't really like that. We had everything. Everybody was happy. I wasn't abused. I wasn't anything like that. I'm going to guarantee you, if you look deep into your parents' relationship, there was some level of dysfunction there. And sometimes that is handed down through generations. Don't get to see things like, thank God, like some of us viewed it in our childhoods. But I can guarantee you, if you quiet yourself enough and allow your higher self to replay what was really going on, your spirit cabinet. Your spirit knew what was happening the whole time. So on a subconscious level, beloveds, we attracted it to us because we felt that's what we deserved, because we felt that what the could get, because we're hurt, we're attracting like a magnet. The victim attracts the victimizer, not clean. But when we wake up to that, say, God dang it, how the heck, why am I attracted? Why am I staying in it? Why can't I get out of it? Why do I keep repeating the cycle? Wash, rinse, repeat. When we're finally ready to drain it and look at it for what it really is and what it really was and what the cause of it was, and own it. Not that we did it to ourselves, but own that this is the reality we have. Then we can change it. Iyanla Vanzant says this often: what cannot be spoken cannot be healed. What cannot be acknowledged cannot be healed. If you don't identify a pattern, you cannot change it. The self-partnered life yes. The self-partnered life is one that is not afraid to own what was put on us in our past and look at it head on and say, oh, this is what I was given and taught and what was put upon me. I now choose to no longer take ownership. I now choose to no longer live it. I now choose to change my pattern and change narrative. Change my story. No longer wash, rinse, repeat. Wash, rinse, spin. And let's dry it all up so we can go on. Let's get rid of it. Let's drain it. Let's remove so we don't go back in the darn cycle all over again. That is the self-partnered life. And I'm speaking to you about a self-partnered life because I'm speaking to you from a self-partnered life. I'm speaking to you from a mountaintop and saying you can come up here because the air is beautiful and the air is rare and the sun is shining and the moon is bright and the life looks a whole lot better from up. This is the life you are meant to have. Is everything perfect at this particular moment? I could say no, but I won't. You know why? But living amongst everything that I see, I live amongst everything that I know to be true. The what is on its way. And until it gets there, I'm perfectly happy right where I'm at. I'm perfectly pleased. Perfectly pleased and at peace. Nothing missing, nothing broken. And when something comes up where there's a little fissure, I identify it right away. It's like, wait, whoa. I reacted in a way that's not really me. I react that way. Why does that bother me? Why do I feel some type of way about this? And instead of putting it off on that other person, you know what I do? I look within me. Why is that bothering me? Self-partnered means I don't look for other people to explain why you bother me. And I don't allow other people to dictate my mood. I don't allow other people to dictate my happiness. I don't allow other people to dictate my life. You are the author and the finisher of your story. We get to rewrite it. We get to go back and say, guess what? Anymore. I don't need this anymore. I don't need more. I don't want this anymore. This is not me. This is not me. Yes, I'm complete. I know who I am, right? I know who I am. I know who I am. I am yours. I am yours. I know who I am. I know who I am. I know who I am. I am yours. I am yours. And you are mine. Jesus, you are mine. You are mine. Hi. Oops, I can't anymore. I can't hit that note today. Jesus, you are mine. I know who I am. I know who I am. Even when I can't hit the note. I know who I am. Mm-hmm. I was made whole and healed. I know who I am. I am divinity because that's who God made me to be. With a small g, maybe to be a God. God made me with power and strength and purpose. God of love. God made me with light. Don't set your light under a bushel, right? Don't cover your light. Let it shine. Why would God say that? Why would Jesus say that? You're meant to be a light up on a hill. So when I say I'm up on the mountaintop from a self-partnered point of view, that's where I am. And that's where I'm talking to you from. The self-partnered life is a life of completeness that then at the right time you can share. But if you never do, if the partner, your partner doesn't ever comes into your life, you are okay. Why? Because I'm complete within myself. It's not that I don't want a partner. I don't need a partner. I don't need a partner. And let me tell you something else, because this all ties into manifestation. You guys are going to notice as we go through days, each day, each of my teachings, it's all intertwined. This is all because this all comes, right? The more you feel you need something, you push it away. And the easier it is for imposters to come in. Stop needing. Just be. Practicing mindfulness, practicing presence. The self-partner life that does not look to the outside for fulfillment, but looks within. And even our partner Jesus, now you know, that's where I'm coming from. I'm coming from an enlightened Christian view. I have no issues with other, avenues. There are plenty of people that's in Hindu and, all sorts of different religions that come on this channel. I'm teaching the spiritual principles from a Christian point of view. So the partner, Jesus, still wants us to be self-partnered, self-empowered, because he gave us all power. He told us before he left, we have all power. We would do greater things than him. Why would he say that? Because he understood that we are divinity, that we are infinite, and that we can, at any given moment, recreate our entire existence. The self-partnered life has our own narrative with our own ending. We do not need the value of others to empower us to be us. We are whole, nothing missing, and nothing broken. When we do part 2 of the life of the self-partnered, we'll once again take another deeper dive into how the empath and the narcissist come together, because that will pull back the cloak and look under the hood as why we got this way and what the narcissist actually is teaching us. We've talked about that before, but we're going to do some more formalized dive into it. Now, I'm going to go back into the chat because there's a couple of things that I wanted to look at. So in the chat, I see a lot of us talking about embracing being alone, embracing being on our own, embracing that we are who we are, completely and wholly, and that's good. And says that she has been told, as I'm sure many of us women have been, that we do not know how to play our position as a woman, how to be a woman and play our position, and that a lot of men are scared of an independent woman. So while I used to, and I probably still to some extent that, I will say that it is the unenlightened that is scared of an independent woman, of a self-partnered person. And I used to kind of wear that as a badge of honor, right? Oh man, just about me because I'm this and I'm that and I'm this. I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying this is me now. I wore that as a badge of honor. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm super intelligent, and I'm a power player, and I can make my own money and do my own thing, and you don't need a man for nothing. We can wear that as such a badge of honor, though, that it becomes statistically incorrect. So the true whole as a woman doesn't mean being subservient, and a man that's enlightened will understand that when a man finds a good woman, right, he finds a woman, finds a wife, finds a good thing, that she is a blessing of God, right? Our role as women are meant to be partners with our men. Eva says that the narcissist doesn't like an independent woman and or with boundaries. That is exactly correct, because if you have boundaries, they can't invade them. If your castle walls are built up pretty high, they can't long back. They can't siege the city, right? So, but we have to define for ourselves what is the definition of being a woman. I got so gosh darn independent, let me tell you, I didn't even know how to let a man be a man. Didn't know. Why? Because my whole life, manhood to me was my father. My father controlled everything in the house. Why? Because he was the only breadwinner. He was the only one bringing money in the house. Now, he was a great provider. Don't get me wrong. But I'm looking at my mama. She ain't got no job. I mean, outside the house, she raised us. Bless her. Stayed at home, raised 3 kids. The fourth one, she did go to work after Mike got into school. My youngest brother. So, but she was a homemaker. That's a very important job. But I'm looking at this from a young child. My childhood mind says, this man here is raising hell in his household every day. And he always says, I bring the money in. I buy the food. I buy the this. I put the clothes on your back, the roof over your head. Y'all know, some of y'all is what we was, right? And matter of fact, I got the saying from my dad. He used to say to my kids, when you buy your own toilet paper, then you have something to say, then you can have some input. I used to say that. And then one day my smart aleck, my son, went out and bought some toilet paper and brought it home and showed me the toilet paper. And let me tell you, he was like, I paper today, Ma. So I get to say, I was like, boy, you better be lucky. I'm too old to make another one of you. But anyway, point being is I saw this man. And so as I'm looking at a man and a man's role, all the money, you get to say everything, right? You get to control everything in the house. Basically, you get to do whatever it is you want to do to be in that household. So what did that young girl think? What logical conclusion did she come to? Not never going to happen to me. I'm going to be the breadwinner. Okay. We'll deal with this. Let's not talk about the lazy thing. I'm going to tell you why. Let's not focus on the outside. We got to focus here. Okay. So bring it back here. Because men being lazy or whatnot, this and that. Oh, we're going to talk about that too. I'm getting there to stuff. I'm getting to, says it's hard for me to give up the reins. We're going to talk about that too. So again, what did young Lisa say? Young Lisa, I will never let a man earn more money than me. I will let a man earn more money than me. Why? Because I'll be down, tell me what to do and how to do it and how to get there. You are not going to have full control and full reign over my life. Not like my daddy. I love my daddy. Daddy's girl till the die and then beyond that. But you were never going to do that. Now, what did that set in motion? Okay, let's leave the men alone. Stay with us. Don't external, internal, baby. Don't external, y'all. Stay with me, folks. Stay with me. Now, what did that mean? You know what that set up for me? A lifetime, until I became self-partnered, a lifetime of choosing men that I could somehow control. Because I earned more money than them. either earn more money, educated, however it felt. I then felt like I had a level of superiority over you that I'm going to tell you something. I was not the next. And I would the kids say now, shady. I throw them that little shade in there. I earn more money than you in a little slick kind of way. Or even if I was being nice, I wouldn't, no, you don't pay for that. I'm going to pay for this. I would always seek to buy stuff for them or pay for stuff or buy a big ticket item. And now I realize that was my subtle way of exercising control that made me feel I earn more than you. So here, I'm going to take that role. Now, fast forward to me right before I got married was why I needed to get in my place. It was okay for the man not to make more money than me, but I couldn't take his manhood from him. And this is what my father told me before my first get it. Again, I'm still hurt. I'm still not self-partnered, y'all. So fast forward now, second marriage. I enjoy cooking. I have no problem with it. Okay, I enjoy it. I like to cook. I like to make my man's plate and we sit down to eat. I like do stuff. Yes, it's very traditional, but I like doing it. It makes me happy. Okay? As long as it doesn't get to the point where I'm giving up my power. I'm not feeling like a servant. This is me just doing it. So that's me being in a much more role. Privately. Professionally, I'm still who I am. However, narcissist. So the narcissist took full advantage of the fact that I was really doing this still from a place of hurt and not being healed. I'm overcompensating from earning money. I'm overcompensating for being the breadwinner. I want to make sure you totally feel like a man. Baby, I can't make you feel like a man. If you ain't a man on your own, I can't do nothing for you. You don't feel like a woman on your own. No man can make you feel that way. I love Aretha. You make me feel like a natural woman. Yep, there's a whole lot of ways that you make me feel like a natural woman, and we ain't gonna go about that right now. My point is, you can't feel no more of a man. He can't make you feel no more of a woman. So now, I do not define my femininity, and nor anybody, but how much money I make, how much intelligent I am, blah, 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 blah. What my femininity is my DNA, my chromosomes. I was born a woman. Femininity is who I am in this present life, this present presentation. Now, the man, though, that has now come into my life, re-entered into my life, I will tell you, he don't make as much money as me. Now, he has the earning power. He can. He's a very good draftsman, and he can construct anything. Amazing. Very good. However, he doesn't want my money. When we talk about the job that I have now, and he's like, we've talked about, the earning potential in this position that I have. His thing is, oh my goodness, that is so, I'm so happy for you. I'm so proud of you. I know this was a goal of yours that's going to make things so for you. Now, one time he asked me for a dime. Now, I've known this man for 5 years. But he's finally at the point, and I'm finally at the point where it works. I'm going to go see him Sunday. He lives an hour and a half away. He didn't have to give me the gas money. And normally I wouldn't even take gas money. But you know what I did? Because he offered it. And you know why I did? That was one of those, don't take his manhood away from him. But I can tell you one thing. He took the gas money. You know he wouldn't have felt any type of way either way. Because he knows who he is as a man. He's raising his 3 kids. He knows who he is as a man. I do not define his manhood. I do not define his completeness. He has already defined it. He does not define completeness. I have already defined it. And now we are 2 complete people coming together and saying, this is a gift from me. And we are so thankful for it. Nothing broken. We have to, beloved, stop putting it out there. Yes, there are plenty of men that are lazy, plenty of men that are want to be kept men. Yes, there are plenty of men who don't really, they don't have their own self-esteem. But guess what?